So I do not know why that form was so crazy, but I don't believe that you asked the right questions. The questions you need to ask are things like, why do you want to join? What is your health like? Religion is part of a big thing, but I don't think it's important to go into which specific sects, or I think you should just keep it very basic. So you know which category they fall under: Christian, Muslim, or Orthodox church versus Episcopal church or something. I mean, does this really matter? Like, if they are, I don't even know. I've been studying religion for a very long time, and I can't tell the difference. Just Christian, Catholic. I know there's a difference between Christian and Catholic. But all the specific ones, it's just irrelevant. It's just details that you don't need to know. And I think if you wanted to get people to join the army, you need to accept that a lot of people that are joining the army probably don't have the best educations, and you don't want to make them start feeling bad. If you have someone that did drop out of school 20 years ago and they don't have the education, this is why they might not join. They think, I feel bad for not having a good education. I can't remember what grades I got in all my things, and that form, by making the importance of education seem so important that I needed to type in the address of the university and all this. I think this is just totally irrelevant. If you've just come out of university, if you're under the age of 25, then yeah, your education is important. But if you're over the age of 25, I don't think you should have to fill out that. If you want to have two forms where you have to click a button, are you under 25? Are you 25 or under, or are you over 25? And if you're over 25, I think you need to recognise that the education that they got a long time ago, is irrelevant, because it doesn't mean much. I think it'd be better to ask them like why they want to do what kind of free time they have. If you're going to ask basic questions about their lifestyle. Are they fit? Are they active? Technically I'm not fit and active, so that would have been a far better question to ask than what degree I got back in 2003. I wanted to type in the A levels because they were nearer, but I found like the A level button wasn't there, and so I had to I don't know if I did type it in the GCSE button. I don't know. I was typing whatever I typed just to stop that red button from coming up, and then underneath it said that I hadn't typed in any education, and I typed in my degree, or mentioned my degree. But yeah, what are you going to ask me next? Like what the names of my teachers were or something? Like that's how ridiculous it seemed. Like you're putting the focus and importance on the wrong things. Like what you did when you 20-30 years ago. Are you going to be that specific when it comes to were you arrested when you were 16 or 17? These are kind of irrelevant questions if you're now a lot older. So I don't know, but the army form should be basic questions about health, about maybe even family members. Are you married? That's an important question. There's so many questions that you could ask on a form that are actually relevant. Do you have kids? Do you have kids under the age of 5? If you have kids under the age of 5, you're probably not going to want to travel. If you don't have kids, you'll probably be a much bigger asset to the army, because if you died, you don't have responsibilities to leave behind. So you need to ask. If you're going to ask basic questions, get people to ask. Don't fuss over education unless if you're 25 or under, maybe then it's relevant. But if you haven't had education for such a long time, I feel like that was just completely irrelevant. And I think knowing that you put so much importance on silly questions like the postcode of the university that I went to, I just felt like just things like that just make me think, who's dealing with this? Who thinks that these questions are the most important questions to ask when forming an army? If I was forming an army, what kind of degree or qualification they have is completely irrelevant. In fact, even if they are illiterate, I don't think even that is that important. You have to understand that some people maybe are illiterate, but they would be able to be good, take instructions and stuff. And okay, illiteracy, a lot of people are dyslexic, and a lot of people struggle to read things, and to have just a long list of just all the different types of qualifications that you could have, and then make it incredibly difficult to find the basic. I just it's and I the half the time that the words weren't typing it in properly. So you type in where's your school? Oxford. I typed in Oxford, and nothing showed up in the crossbars. It just said there was no answer. So I didn't even know how to get some of the bars to fill out, and when I tried to press, accept, it said you're missing these points, and I was like, I'm missing these points because I don't know what I'm supposed to put in these points. I don't know, but that was really, really stressful. And if people aren't joining the army, I think it's because you're putting your focus on irrelevant things. Education is important if you're under 25, but if you're over 35, it is irrelevant. And I think it'd be better to know a person's health, relationship status, family status. Ask real questions. Ask real questions.